Got to build a foundation, and I thought today was certainly a brick in the foundation. But we got to move on from here and get better.
What are the goals for spring football?
Well, the biggest thing is I think number one, just learn how to go out and compete every day and work through adversity and become a tough football team. I think that's the thing for us. And I told the guys after practice, for us to get where we want to go, that's what we have to do. Is we got to become a football team that grinds, we're going to have a good scheme and we're going to have good talent and all that, but the way we're going to separate ourselves is our willingness to go in and do the dirty work, and to grind through things and to fight when we have a little bit of adversity. And if we can get that attitude and create that kind of environment, then that's going to give us a chance to be successful. But we got a long way to go in that regard.
What are the challenges of installing a new offense?
Well, it's always a little bit of challenge. I mean, the thing that makes our stuff work is the details. Everybody kind of runs the same plays and does stuff, and we've been successful through the years because I felt like we coached the small things harder and better and demand more out of the players maybe than some other people do, and so it's hard to get to the details because you got to teach the general things. Where do you line up? How do you line up? How do you do things? And then once you learn the generalities, and then you can start focusing on the stuff that really separates you. But as I said, everybody runs the same plays in college football now and pretty much has the same scheme. So what you got to do is you got to become great at doing little things, and the little things are what allow you to separate from your competition.
I see you being pretty hands-on with guys in practice. Is that how you plan to be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's I enjoy coaching. I mean, that's why I got in the business, because I like being around young kids and trying to make them better. And the great thing about these kids, they're incredibly coachable. They just want to get better. They don't care how they do it, and so we're going to coach them hard. That's one thing we promised them from day one is, we're going to coach them hard. We're going to coach them hard in the weight room. We're going to coach them hard, in the film room. We're going to coach them hard when we get out here and practice. And the good thing is they've handled it well, and we're going to keep doing it because, for us to get where we want to go, we've got to demand a lot out of them, and they got to be able to get more out of themselves than they think they can.
When we talked with Coach Kaz, or your assistants earlier this spring, Coach Kaz came up a lot as a key to this program. What did you think of the spring?
Yeah, I think the thing that we did, I think we looked different physically. I think that's if you just came out, if you watched us play in the bowl game in December and you came out to practice today, I think we look different physically. I think we're bigger. I think we're stronger. We've probably sacrificed a little bit of conditioning to add that bulk and that weight. But we understood that. That was the plan coming in. We got to get bigger, and we've got to be able to, win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And in order to do that, you've got to be physical. You got to be strong. And so, that's the thing that we focused on in the 7 weeks prior to spring break was getting stronger, getting bigger, playing with more power and force, and I think we look better physically. We're still not anywhere close to where we need to be, but I think we've made some strides, and we got to continue to do that. Our guys are going to have to work really hard in the weight room for the next 4 weeks during spring ball. We got to just grind them and get them bigger and stronger and tougher.
Will Brown got a fair amount of reps today. What did you see out of him? And
yeah, I think for the first time, I thought he did some good things. There were some times he was confused, obviously, and and the clock in a high school kid's head always works a little slower than the clock in a college guy's head has to work. But I thought he did some good things. He showed some promise. He's obviously a great-looking kid physically. He's just got to get a little bit more consistent in his release and all that. But again, he's out here. He graduated early. He's out here going through spring ball when most guys his age are going to the prom and just hanging out. So these reps are going to be big for him. And I thought for the first time out, he did some good things.
When you take over a new team and have a new staff working, how's the teaching process different when you're teaching your new assistants what you want, and then so they can teach it to players?
Yeah, I think we're all, I think we all learn together. I think that's the biggest thing is that, the coaches learn, the players learn, everybody learns. And, what we always have to do is we have to adapt. We adapt our schemes to fit our players and the strengths and weaknesses, and while trying to address our weaknesses and improve our weaknesses. And so, it's going to be a work in progress for us as coaches, figuring out what do we have, what are our strengths? What are we going to build around? You know, how are we going to tweak our scheme to take advantage of you know, the matchups we can create and the things we can do, whether it's on defense or whether it's on offense. And so, you know, you got to get out here and you got to see who can do what, and then you got to refine it and come do it again. And then you refine it in the film room and you come do it again, and that's kind of what the process is all about.
Anyone stand out to you today?
You know, I think our backs. I mean, I think our running backs. You know, I thought they had a good day. I thought that would be a strength, and I was impressed with them, even with the expectations I had. I mean, I think, you know, they've got experience. You know, I thought our quarterbacks as a group did some good things. And then we'll go look at the tape. Beyond that, it's hard to say. I thought we made some nice breaks on the ball in the back end a couple of different times. I saw some guys flash and you know, break up a pass or break on a ball that you know, was an impressive play. We'll go back, look at the film, and see, but I thought it was a good start.
What did you see of DJ Gillens today?
Well, it's good to have him back healthy. You know, I feel bad for him just because he just hasn't had a chance to get a ton of reps, you know, and up to this point in his career, and you know, he shows signs of being able to do some things for sure. But you know, the most important characteristic of the quarterback is consistency, and so he's just got to be consistent in everything he does and take advantage of all the reps he gets to, you know, so he can develop and start to, you know, become a guy that we can count on.
When you're teaching new systems and you have a guy like Jordan Wyatt who's going to miss all of spring, how much does that cost him and set him back in the learning process?
Well, it does. I mean, there's no, you know, there's no substitute for coming out here and practicing. I mean, that's why Tom Brady, you know, has practiced for 20 years and practices, you know, 40 weeks a year, is because every single practice is important. And so anytime you miss one, it's certainly a setback, you know, because like I told our players, you know, everybody in the country is going through spring ball right now, and you know, we have to go through spring ball better than our opponents do to be able to create an advantage for ourselves. And you know, he's missing reps, but at the same time, he's played enough and he has enough experience where, you know, I think the learning curve will probably be a little smaller with him than it is some other guys who just don't have that kind of experience. You know, but we'll see. You know, the most important thing is get him back healthy. You know, bring him along slowly so we don't give him a setback. You know, as he gets cleared, progressing through the summer, and then, you know, he can come out here and learn. You know, get as many mental reps as he can, and then the physical reps will come this summer.
There were a handful of other guys out today, but any of them going to miss all of spring in addition to Jordan?
Yeah, we've got a pretty good list of guys. You know, we had a bunch of shoulder surgeries in the off season, so you know, we've got a pretty heavy group that'll miss some time, but you know, it's all going to depend on how quickly we can bounce back. So, you know, I can't say for sure who's going to miss the entire spring, but you know, we want to get everybody out there as quick as we can. We probably had, you know, 10 guys that we're counting on to contribute that were, you know, either limited or didn't participate today. So, you know, we got to get them back healthy, but at the same time, we got to be smart about not bringing them back too quickly.